UFC 306 Las Vegas Sphere card is this weekend. It's a weird card because the selling point is the venue and nobody has ever done a combat sport in the venue. Anyhow, it does not matter because this weekend we are about to find out. And here are 5 weird/cool things about the UFC 306. Number 5. There's going to be 6 short films. These short films will be displayed between fights and it will tell a story. Each short will tell its own story about the Mexican fighting history, and all of these short films will combine and tell the bigger story. And before and after these short films are played, the sphere will transform into different environments and worlds, and the fights will take place in these environments. Number 4. Dynamite is looking to get a nomination for an Oscar, Emmy and a Grammy. Yes, all 3 of them. Because this event has more to do with the story, cinematic and the environments and the whole other magic than the actual fights. Couple of months ago, Dynamite said UFC has already hired people with Oscar and Grammy nominations and victories in the past to work at the UFC Sphere. So them getting another nomination for the things they're already good at would not be surprising. What are those things going to be? Well, the short movies, the visual effects, CGI, 3D animations, and the other environments they create, and the in-event music? Probably that. I don't know exactly what it is, but we don't have to keep wondering for a long time because this weekend we are going to find out. Number 3. Exclusive fight kits. Yeah, UFC made unique fight kits just for this event itself, and these are the fight kits. UFC actually released a document explaining the symbols, the colors, and the meaning behind the fight kits. So here's that document. Post if you want to read it. I am not a huge fan of the shorts. I think the red and green are too plain for me. I would have personally loved if there was a pattern that overlaid the already existing colors, but hey, at least it's something different. But the tops are pretty cool. I mean, the male fighters are not going to wear the tops, it's only the women, so it's not like we are going to see them inside the octagon. Unless, you know, Valentina and Alexa Grasso decides to. Never mind. Yeah, but the jerseys, the hoodies and the sports bras are pretty cool. I think it's actually one of the best kits they have made because it's not too distracting. At the same time, it's the symbols are pretty cool. I don't know exactly what those are, but it has something to do with the Mexican culture, the fighting culture. And they also released a pretty cool bunch of event exclusive merch on the UFC store. And I really like the white jersey, but I am not going to get one of those. It's like $140 and I have to pay an extra $30 for shipping. So if you have extra money to throw around and cop a t-shirt, then go ahead and check it out. And no, UFC is not paying me to advertise their app store. I have like 20 subscribers. UFC does not know that I exist. Before we go to the number 1 fact, let's finish off the number 2, and that is UFC or Dynamite himself is going to give you $25,000 if you do something. Throughout the UFC 306 Sphere event, there's going to be Easter eggs hidden throughout the short films and between different environments. If you manage to find all of these Easter eggs, Dynamite will give you, or me, if I find it, $25,000. He mentioned that he's working with the UFC legal team to make this a reality, and when you're doing giveaways at this caliber, you have to get the legal team involved, meaning this is a very real thing that he's actually going to do. So when you're watching the event with your buddies, just make sure to pay attention to the screen because you might be able to win $25,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, number 1 weird fact is that Dynamite said that he really does not know if this whole thing will work out during the events. Yes, the animations, the short films, the environment, the music, the audio, the new fighting setup, and the new haptic feedback something. Apparently, when the fighters are kicking each other, you can feel it somehow. If a fighter gets kicked in the balls, you might feel it actually. I don't know how that works, but apparently they're working on it. Regardless of what it is, those elements actually working out during the fights correctly, that possibility is apparently unknown. It makes a lot of sense because in a normal arena, you have the octagon in the middle, and regardless of which side you are in, you're looking at a dimly lit crowd. And most of the time, you're not even focused on that. You don't even care about it. Your eyes are directly on the shoulders or the chest area of your opponent. Unless, you know, you're a fighter who likes to look at the opponent's head, which I don't know. Don't do that, please. Focus on the shoulder. It's much better. But yeah, that's how a normal arena would work. But the UFC Sphere is different. I mean, it's the Las Vegas Sphere itself. Let's just say you have your back to the LED screen. You're looking at the normal shenanigans, a dimly lit audience full of people. Sure, I mean, it's a bit weird because it's kind of like the Colosseum where the audience goes all the way to the top, but it's not that distracting until you have your back to the audience. then you are looking at the world's biggest LED screen that is so bright and so vibrant, and your opponent is in front of it. So the chance of you cutting a hard angle and then accidentally getting flashbanged by the LED screen is really high. When they first announced this Las Vegas Sphere card, this was what my main concern was. How are the fighters going to adapt when there's a brightly lit LED screen flashing them behind their opponent? And what about the competitive advantage? Because when you are getting flashbanged by the LED screen, your opponent is not. He's looking at a dimly lit background. I'm actually kind of glad Dana White was honest about this, rather than say, no, we figured it out, we did some advanced mathematical calculations, so, advanced simulations. He just said, we don't know, we are about to find out. At the end of the day, they can't actually simulate that environment unless they want to have an actual fight in the Sphere before the 306. So when Dana White finds out himself, all of us are going to find out at the same time. If you scroll through Twitter and Instagram, most of the comments are pretty kind of mad about the event. I can understand some part of it because there are only 10 fights for the pay-per-view. For most of the fans, only 3 of them are really good. The 4th might be, but the rest not really. And considering how highly promoted this event was, majority of the fans probably thought this was the second coming of UFC 300. But to be honest with you, I don't care. I don't care how good the fights are going to be. I am genuinely here for the experience. Think about it. We have good pay-per-views all throughout the year. Sure, some of the UFC FX cards are pretty bad. I actually made a video about this. It's my last video, you can check it out after this maybe. But the 3 good fights in this card are really good fights. Diego Lopes versus Brian Ortega should have happened a long time ago, but then Brian had to pull out. Good fight. And then Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko, one of the most anticipated female fights, and a female fight that's actually exciting to watch. The first fight, Alexa won. The second fight, draw. And this time, it's I don't know, maybe a victory to Valentina, maybe a victory to Alexa Grasso, but whatever it is, I am invested in it and I care about it. And then the main event, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, a fight that everybody wanted to see for a really long time, and it's finally happening. But anyways, my point being, there are 3 really cool fights that I'm excited about, some decent other fights, but it's all happening in a really unique environment that nobody has ever done before. I think up to an extent, MMA fans are spoiled. I mean, the internet is pretty toxic these days. I know it's been like that for a while, but I think after COVID, the internet kind of went downhill. Everybody complains and bitch and moan about everything, and objectively when you look at it, it is not even a bad card. It's a mediocre card, but in a really exciting environment, an exciting setting that has never been done before, and I'm all for it. I am more than happy to replace one good pay-per-view card with something different. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the short movies are going to be. I don't know what the people in the Sphere are going to experience. Rather than being the same, but really good thing, I'm going to get something different, but also not that bad. As someone who actually pretty artistic, YouTube is not my full-time job. I can't make this my full-time job because I have only 20 subscribers and like 100 average views. My full-time job is I'm a 3D animator who's actually currently learning real-time visual effects. As a kind of 3D animation geek and a movie nerd, this is kind of like my thing. I want to see the cool things they would do with the environment. I want to see the music and the experience people are going to get in between fights while the fights are going on. And this is not something I will ever see in Madison Square Garden. And that's why I think we should just chill out a bit and be grateful for this new different thing that they are doing. And hey, if you want to complain about something, I think about 60% of the UFC fight nights this year was in the Apex, so complain about that, not about the UFC 306. And I am actually really looking forward to it. And hey, if you enjoyed this, consider liking the video, then YouTube recommend this video to more people and I get to do this more, and I appreciate it. If you actually want to see more of these videos, consider subscribing and I appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you soon after 306 with my thoughts on the event.